Greetings everyone, this is Elizabeth and I'm so excited to be here today with the FairyStamper video design team. And this is going to be a two-part project because it's massive. What we are working on today is I pulled out a big old sheet of Bristol Smooth cardstock. It's 11 by 17 and I just felt like I wanted to do a really big project that I could basically hang on my wall. And what I've done is I've picked out all of my stamps that I want to use. And it's kind of hard to see it all in the one angle here. So I'll do my best. But I've pulled out all of these are the Fairy Hug stamps, and they will be listed in the description below in case you want to do something like this as well. I've got the moon, I've got a castle, I've got a walkway, I've got a couple of the little fairies, some mushrooms, the little fox, a wall, and we've got Oscar the octopus, some foliage, which we're going to pull out more foliage. I only have a couple of kinds, but it'll work. And then I've got some fish and RAPHAEL the turtle, and then the little baby turtle, and some other sea elements. They're not going to go right here, but this is the area they're going to go into. And then let's make sure we can see this. And then I've got my other rock formation, and then the tree, Raven the witch, and then I've got a little bird to hang out with her, a bunny, and again the little fairies and the little crane. Because what we're gonna do is I've set it all up how I want to stamp it, and I've taken a picture of it so I don't lose it like I've lost my pencil. Okay, one moment please. Okay, so we have our water area, and then we have our land, and that is our horizon line. Water meets land. It's not straight, it's not perfect, so we don't need a perfectly straight line, but my land is gonna be right through here, and this little guy I think is gonna be on a like a protruding rock. So I'm gonna make a land go from this rock to the bird, and then a little rock area coming this way. So this is actually the water line right here, and I'm doing very, very light pencil, very, very light. So if I need to erase it, I can. So there's that. This is all going to be water, okay? So my rock will actually go under the water a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to continue that line. So if I pull these two away, I've got this nice water line. Okay, it's going to go like that. Ta-da! So now we're going to move these little pieces, and I'm going to pull out some watercolors, and we're going to do a nice background, water and sky. Or we might do ink blending. I'll decide in the pause moment. Right. So I'm not sure how the Bristol is going to handle the water, so I don't want to saturate it too much. But I am using some watercolors. Now these are just some watercolors you can pretty much pick up anywhere. And I just picked a set that had some blues for my water and sky. We're going to add the more greenish blues to the water, and then the lighter blues for the sky. And I think we'll heighten that up a little bit when I think we're going to add some ink blending over that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a really big paintbrush. Okay, they come in all sizes. I got mine on a half off sale, and I bought them in a set, so I do have some rather large ones. And I'm just gonna pick See, this is my sky and this is my water. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water to the paper. Not a ton, just enough to get it moving a little bit. And you want to make sure your brush is fairly dry, especially with non-watercolor paper. You don't want it to get all weird and rip the paper. And I found that drying it in between the layers really helped. So you might want to consider that if you're having troubles building a darker color. And if you heat it front and back, it will help eliminate some of the warping. And then I took the colors just like ink blending on a card. I tried to make a dark edge and then the dark bottom as well. And I think it turned out pretty good. And we're gonna finish this little bit up, and then we're going to get the tip of our brush loaded with some color, and we're gonna hold the paintbrush straight up and down and make squiggle wiggle marks across the top portion of the water. And this will help bring in some wave-like textures to add some more interest to the page. And you doesn't have to be consistent. It can be blotchy. It could be just crazy. Short ones, long ones. You want to mix it up and add a dimension by overlapping and just being free with your wiggles and squiggles. After heat setting, we move on to the top portion. And we're going to bring in some purples and some true blue colors, the light blues and a couple of dark blues. And we're just going to blend them until we get something we like for our sky. I'll be adding more colors to this in the second half. But for now, we just want a base color. And again, heat set it front and back to help keep it straight. All cleaned up and nice and dry. I'm not too worried about the warping. That I'll take care of when this project is all done. For now, I do need it to lay a little bit flat so that I can do some stamping on it. And we're gonna start. My octopus is gonna be on that corner, so I'm just gonna slide this over just a wee bit more. Make sure put that right on there. And we're going to start with the undersea creatures. Now, earlier when I was peeling these off, I took a picture and I set them all up on the back of the paper pack. So I don't have to go looking at my picture. I can just look at that and say, okay, that's where that's going to go. And I chose the Bristol Smooth, hoping that I'll be able to stamp these once, because I kind of have to free range these because this is such a big piece of paper. I'm using my acrylic blocks and an old stamping platform that I've originally started out with. And I'm going to ink up each stamp very well. I'm going to pull it up to my eyeballs so I can make sure it's very well coated. And then when I press down, I'm going to hold it there for just a few seconds. That way there I get good adhesion between the ink and the paper. And that's going to give us our best quality stamping. And I've zoomed through this really fast. And you can see that I'm really holding those stamps down for quite a bit of time. And then randomly stamp your foliage. You do a stamp with the heavy ink and then stamp it again before re-inking it, and you'll get this nice little shadowed effect, and it's really cool. All right. Well, how do you think so far? I can't even rotate it. Now my paper is curling up on the other end. I'm not too worried about that. All I got to do is spritz the back of it, lay some heavy stuff on it, and it'll flatten right out. I didn't use all of the little seashells and stuff that I thought I was going to use, and that's okay. That happens. You do a layout and then you start stamping and you get really excited about how it's looking and you forget what you're doing. Nothing wrong with that. Now I grab a scrap piece of paper and put it down under my pencil case just to keep the top half safe. And I'm just going to use my Inktense pencils, color right over the top, the black. It's not perfect because the Inktense and your watercolor pencils, you don't need a ton to be able to pull in some color. Now, when I get to the leaves, I find that the black is bleeding from the Versafine Claire. And so what I'm doing is I'm pulling the pigment right off the pencil and adding it to the leaves, and that worked really, really well. The great thing about Inktense, watercolor pencils, anything that you want to color over your watercolored background with, is you don't have to activate it. You don't have to add the water. You can even use colored pencils right over, just like we're doing here. It'll still look beautiful. So there's a lot of options to add your color to your watercolor background. Just know that you may potentially activate the color underneath. But this seemed to work pretty good for me today. Let me know what you guys think, and we will be back in a couple of weeks with part 2. I thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget, all the links to all the stamps I'm using will be down in the description for you. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye-bye.